Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Pure Faith Podcast. I am your co-host, Michelle. This is the host, Mitchell.
Technically, you're the host.
Am I though?
Because you're the one that is announcing things.
But I'm not the one who talks throughout the podcast, so technically I'm still the co-host.
You probably talk more than I do.
Not really. Okay, anyhow.
Actually, technically, we're both co-hosts.
Okay, so we're just hosting this thing.
Yeah.
We ask that you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to hit the notification icon to be notified when new episodes are released. Good job.
I didn't do anything.
I know, right? All right, so how we doing? We got a special announcement.
We do have a special announcement. So, if you watch this
or listen
to this within the first couple of days of its released, then we invite you to come out Saturday, October 7th, to our Living Waters Ministry, to our church building. We will be showing The Blind. It is the movie of the Phil Robertson story.
Yeah, so if you're a Duck Dynasty fan, which I know there's plenty of you out there, or if you are an unashamed podcast listener, you would find some, probably some good, bad, and ugly in this movie.
Yeah. So this is depicting the actual transformation that Phil went through from what they all call his BC area, so before Christ era, when a lot of drugs, drinking, a lot of rough stuff went on in his life.
Yeah.
So this is depicting that, and then his change, his acceptance of Christ, and then the growth from there.
It looks like I saw the trailer. It looks like it's really going to tell a good story.
Yes.
Maybe some very dark moments in his life. To grace. Really.
Yes.
I mean, that's what it kind of looks like to me. So we are honored to be showing this here at Living Waters Ministries here on Saturday, October the 7th. 2 showings. We've got 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. You can get tickets online to the show, or you can get them at the door here.
Yes, we are able to sell tickets at the door. And I will put the link to, if you want to buy tickets, I will put the link in the show description of the podcast or the YouTube video, whichever you are watching this on.
And as a bonus, we do have daycare that's going to be provided downstairs, I imagine,
Yes.
In the play area. So if you have young ones that you wouldn't be able to find a sitter for, they're welcome as well. And then the donations, if we receive donations for that, it's going to be going to
Operation Christmas Child.
Operation Christmas Child,
Yep.
where we put shoe boxes together and send them to children all across the world. Yeah. So that would also be a benefit. And so we ask that you come and join us if you can on Saturday, October the 7th, 2 show times, 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. And Mitchell will have the address and the link and everything, maybe even the flyer that shows some information on it, here on our YouTube podcast.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And also, if you happen to have our email address or either one of our phone numbers, feel free to reach out to us and we can answer some questions as well. Yay.
Yay.
I know, I'm super excited about it. And if it goes over well, maybe we can do another showing.
Yes.
So, which would be fantastic because we need to have a minimum of 10, a maximum of 80 per showing.
Yes.
So.
And that maximum is just because that's all the people we could fit.
That's all the chairs we have.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, we have more chairs than that, but that would be comfortable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I really think it would be a nice place. We've watched movies here before. It's a nice, cool environment and
cushion chairs,
restrooms. We've got a area in the back for drinks and what have you. So
we will be having popcorn and some snacks and
so something different. I mean, it's actually kind of exciting. Mitchell sent a message and I thought, boy, this sounds like a really neat thing that we can do. So. And of course, when we first started doing this podcast, I think I've mentioned this before in our earlier episodes, but I wasn't too sure on if I could do a podcast and what to talk about. And so Mitchell, he referred me to a couple of them, and Unashamed was one of them. And let me tell you, They don't get a lot done in the
No.
Bible study either, which I don't know if it's
No.
good or bad, but
They tell a lot of
they
stories.
do tell a lot of stories, but it's just very inspirational to hear Phil talk as well, and then to hear the growth of his boys and his
Yeah.
brother. Is it
Uh,
Phil's brother? Who's Uncle
Uncle Cy.
Cy?
Yeah, it's Phil's
Okay,
brother.
so I'm not a Duck Dynasty person, so I never watched one episode of that, but
Well, Uncle Cy has his own show. It's called the Duck Call Room.
mm,
So it's Cy. Well, there's a whole cast there,
mm,
but it's mainly Cy and Martin,
again,
and then
I got
Cogman's
nothing.
on there. Stone is on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, several other people.
I can tell you that just talking to a coworker, I said something about it, and she didn't know anything about the movie, and I said Phil Robertson, I said he's like Duck Dynasty. She's like, oh, we watched Duck Dynasty, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I didn't. She's like, oh yeah, they do. They talk a lot of faith-based things on the show. You can tell they're very faithful people and very much into their religion. I'm just like, oh yeah, I don't know that, but I'm assuming.
Actually, the funny thing is, um, the reason Phil's not on the show a whole lot, Duck Dynasty, like he's on there, but not an extremely like
Not every
he's not
episode.
like a main character
Okay,
type
okay.
thing. That's because every time they put him on camera, he starts talking about the Bible, and so they just cut all that stuff out because he would talk too much, and they had to cut it out.
Yeah, well, you'll have that, I guess.
Yeah,
Well,
so
all right. Well, good things are happening, so we hope that you can join
yes,
us.
and but like Michelle was saying, if you want to see it, but October 7th doesn't work for you, still reach out to us and let
Mhm,
us know. And if we get enough people that say, hey, we want to see it, but we can't make it October 7th, then we will try to set up another date later down the road. I
mhm.
think it has to be before November 6th.
Okay.
So it'd be later on this month. Um, so we can try to get another showing.
Yeah, and if a Saturday evening doesn't work and say a Sunday afternoon works better, then we whatever we have
Yeah.
a greater volume for, we'll see what we can do. Yay.
Yay.
I know, I'm excited. Anything else going on? How's your cat doing?
It's it's good.
Is it?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
it's learning its name
Okay. Is it getting yelled at? Is that how it's learning its name?
sometimes.
Okay.
But I can start to understand why people like to watch cat videos. I was never a cat video kind of guy,
Yeah, I'm not.
but watching that cat, it's comical.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Hmm. It's very
It's
playful.
it's very playful.
Mm.
The other day it was on the back deck, and we have a two-tier deck. We got
Oh,
two
yes.
steps up. Well, there's a butterfly or something flying, and it came running, jumped up to the second step, and like kind of used it as a a springboard and went backwards. And it went backwards, but it went out with all four legs completely out, flat, like doing a belly flop. It was just flying through the air. It was pretty funny. I was like, I'm so glad I seen that. I wish I got it on video because it was hilarious.
Oh, so yeah, that's probably what you're gonna start doing is recording this cat while it's playing.
No, I
Our
haven't
cat,
done that yet.
our cat is truly a scaredy cat. So our laughs come from like if you go behind it and you scare it, it literally jumps off the ground scared. It's hilarious. It is truly a scaredy cat. So yeah, that's where we find humor in most of ours.
Yeah.
But she doesn't play with a lot of toys. Now she will bring us treats to our back door every once in a while, which I don't care for, but
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thanks. You're doing a great job.
Yeah. This kid actually likes playing with balls.
Okay. Like
Like,
basketballs?
no, like just
Oh.
small foam
Oh,
balls that we
okay.
have, and it'll just pat it
Yeah.
around and chase it around. And I still think one of the funniest things is if she's like sitting somewhere and the boys run by, she'll like run out and like jump off of them and use them as a springboard to just like
Jeez.
hit them and jump off. And
Oh, are they okay? Or do they say, what are you doing?
yeah, most of the time they don't even notice it. And That's pretty
Oh,
funny.
I do. I enjoy the stories only because of the fact that, we have barn cats, I guess, when we grew up, but I'm not like a cat lover by any means.
That's the
Um,
first time I've ever like had a cat that
yeah,
was.
that actually liked you. They actually came around.
Most of the time, whenever cats came around, they annoyed me.
Yeah.
But whatever.
All right. So what do we got?
All right, so we're gonna be continuing on. Um, we're in what, verse 12. We got halfway through verse 12 last week. We're going to try to get through the rest of verse 12 this week. I do want to kind of take a step back a little bit.
Okay.
Um, and well, let's just go ahead and do a brief overview again. So, again, verse 11 and 12 is kind of like part one and part two of the Beatitudes,
Mm-hmm.
where verse 11 would be that part one, so it's describing a particular group of people.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, Jesus is saying that it is anybody who is reviled, persecuted, or have uh, evil, any kind of evil uttered against them falsely.
Right.
Um, but then it takes a step further. It's when you have those things done for the sake of Jesus. So if you're out spreading the good news of Jesus, if you
Right.
talk about Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
sharing your faith, and you are reviled, persecuted, or have false rumors spread about you, then that is the group of people that Jesus is talking about. And as we got into verse 12 is that promise. Well, if you happen to fall into that category, that specific category that Jesus is talking about, it says to rejoice and be glad.
Mm.
And we talked about this rejoice a little bit last week, but when I talked about it, I don't think I didn't get the reaction out of you that I thought I would, because I don't think you understood the full depth of it.
Okay.
So I want to go back and hit on that a little
Okay.
bit more.
Wait, you're basing this off my reaction?
Yeah,
Maybe it's because I was tired of listening to you.
that's very possible, but the Lord put this on my mind, so I'm still going to talk about it. Okay?
Okay.
So, uh, so rejoice.
Rejoice. I
So
like the
again,
song Rejoice and Be Glad. I like that song. So anyhow, go ahead.
it's a song.
Well, it was a song, gospel song. Yeah, it played at church
I
when I was
probably
growing
know
up.
it. I just
Yeah,
don't know names.
that's okay.
Um, so yeah, what is at the core of rejoice?
Joy.
Very good.
We went over that last week.
We did. But that's what I don't think fully hit, because remember, what is joy? If we go back to the beginning of verse 11 and all the Beatitudes, so
Right.
verse 3 through 11, they all start with blessed are,
Mm-hmm.
which is Makarios.
Yes.
That actual definition of Makarios, again, is happy or to be envied.
Okay.
And remember that
Happy
happy
is
is
just a feeling.
it's well, the way we look at happy in
Yeah.
today's society is as a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
But this doesn't mean the feeling of happiness. It means the state of being happy,
Mm-hmm.
which in today's society is better interpreted as joy.
Joy.
The state of being having
Joyful.
joy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, again, if we remember what living in the state of joy actually means, it means that no matter what happens in our lives,
Right.
whether it's
Good, bad, or indifferent.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
we can live in a state of joy
Right.
because we know that,
The kingdom of heaven is in our future.
yes, we will have eternity
Mm-hmm.
with Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
We won't have the heartache, the despair, the all the bad things that are in this world, the
Mm-hmm.
sickness, the just all the evil. We won't have that when we get into heaven.
Right.
So yes, we have to go through all that in this
Mm-hmm.
lifetime. I mean, like for us,
Yeah.
it's been what? It's
It'll be
been
5 years.
5 years or 6 years since Missy
Is it
passed.
gonna be 6
I think
years?
we're coming up on 6 years, because I
It's
think I'm
one.
coming up on 7 year anniversary of
Are
Paige
you?
and I. I think
I don't know. I thought it was just 5 years, but maybe it's 6.
it would have been 2019.
Okay.
So we're coming up on, it'll be April 29th of 2024 will be the anniversary.
And that's 5 years.
Yeah. Okay. So within the last 5 years,
And look, I've got my sweatshirt on today. But
that is true.
yeah, but and what you're saying is exactly true. We went through devastation,
Yeah.
and at this point in your faith, you might have already been at that part where you could find joy in all of it, but I couldn't, Mom couldn't, Dad couldn't,
Mm-mm.
Matt couldn't, Dylan couldn't, our families. Like, out of all honesty, you and Paige probably were the only two at that point who could find joy in all of it.
I don't know if that's true or not, but possibly. But like we've talked about this before in the podcast, but that whole situation, that scenario, because she was what was a year that she fought the cancer,
It would
or
have
was it
been
2 years?
2 years because it was previous to your wedding that she was diagnosed. Then we told Mom and Dad the day after your wedding, and then she passed away a year after that, right?
I thought so. See, that's
Yeah.
why. Yeah, yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So I've only been married 5 years. Thought it
No,
was about,
6.
it'll be 6.
It'll be 6,
But right now it's only 5.
right?
I thought it was already
Right?
6. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I'm
5
gonna
or
tell you,
6.
I don't know how old I am, but I got married in the year 2000, so I would always know how many years I've been married.
Well, it depends if it's before that date or after that date.
Oh, it the year of 2000. I know how long I've been married. Anyhow, you're exactly right. She's been gone 1 year
She
longer than your
no,
anniversary.
no, it is 2 years.
Is it?
Yeah, because Zeke was already born.
Zeke was born.
We got married in
You were
2017,
deployed. When were you deployed?
2019. We got married in 2017. So it was
Oh,
two
did you get
years.
married in 2017?
So it was 2 years
Okay.
after we
Okay.
got. So it was 2 years.
Mom is gonna be so upset with us.
That was a lot of talking to figure out. It's been
Oh
2 years
my
that
gosh.
Missy struggled,
It's been a long
battled with
time.
cancer.
She did battle cancer a long time.
Maybe that's why my dates were off because I thought it was a year, but no, it was 2 years after
Yeah.
on our anniversary. 2 years later. Anyways, I don't remember what.
We're finding joy.
Yeah. So, oh yeah.
What?
So it was in that 2 year window
Mm-hmm.
that's where I really started to develop my faith, and
Yes.
when I really started to become a little bit more bold.
More vocal
Yes,
to
more
us.
vocal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did start
Especially.
within the family,
Mm-hmm.
um, and now eventually it's a
Yeah.
YouTube
To every.
channel
I
and
know, right?
podcast
How
where
crazy
anybody
is
can
that?
listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it did start small and grew, and it was through Missy's struggle because that's where I started at. Is like, you know, trying to prepare the family for what could possibly happen,
Right.
and why things were happening, and to remain faithful to the Lord through all of it and all this other stuff. And
Right.
so that's where my discipleship started, I guess.
Yeah. I would say.
Um, but yeah, it was through those struggles, and then here a couple years ago, not quite 2 years ago yet, Dad passed.
Yep.
So we've gone through hardships.
We have.
We've been through struggles. But yes, we have joy throughout all of that
Right.
because we know that when it is our time to go, when it is our time to cross over, we will be with Missy, we will
Yes.
be with Dad, we will be with other family members that have gone before us,
Right.
but more importantly, we will be with Jesus.
Right.
And we will have those, all the struggles, all the weight, all the aches and pains and heartache and everything that is bad about this world that we live in,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be gone. And we will
Right.
be living in that cloud of love
Yeah.
that comes from Jesus.
Right. And not to go off too much about this, but you can be in a season of darkness, a season of sadness, a season of grieving, and that season can last a long time, but that doesn't mean that you don't have joy in your heart too.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that people, I mean, because I could say that with both Missy's passing and Dad's passing, that I was at a very dark season. And I knew that there was joy in all of it, but it took a while. And I saw the most with Mom, with Dad's passing. Like Mom grieved a long time. She knew that Dad and Missy were together, but
Yeah.
she grieved Dad's death for a very long time. But you can tell now that that season is passing and
Yeah.
that she is more acceptance of, okay, this is what's happened and I will see him again one day, but it's a season that we live in. And I heard that on a podcast also. I never knew that's what it was called before. And I'm like, the light bulb goes off. I'm like, it's a very good way of saying it. And some people
Yeah.
don't understand that. So even though you go through those times, you can still find joy in all of it.
Yes. And that is really what we're talking about here. In bringing it back to verse 12, verse 11 and 12,
Mm-hmm.
for those who are reviled, persecuted, and have false rumors spread about them for the sake of Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
that's going to be potentially a dark spot in your life. But if that has ever happened to you, if it is currently happening to you, or if it will happen to you in the future, Jesus is telling us to rejoice and be
Rejoice.
glad.
Glad.
So again, rejoice. This is celebrating in that joy because we know that, well, now, yes, we have that joy that is giving us that promise of a future, an eternity with Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
but we can now celebrate in that joy because since you were persecuted for the sake of Jesus, you will receive a great reward in
Mm.
heaven. So that's the significance of this rejoice and be glad. It's about celebrating in that joy.
Mm.
So hopefully that explains it a little bit better.
Yeah, I thought I understood the first time, but you get the vibe I didn't.
Okay. All right. So, continuing on again,
Continuing on.
we're going to talk about the rewards at a later date because I'm not ready for that.
Okay.
So moving on to the next part of this, or the last part of this verse, verse 12, is for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Are we out of time?
No, it is. What's that say? Okay, we got
Okay.
about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah. Um. So persecuting the persecution of prophets. So one thing that I want to point out here is there have been a lot of prophets in the past, and there were a lot of them that were not recorded in the Bible.
Okay.
And there's a lot of prophets in the Bible that we could have chose from, but I picked one particular section, which is First Kings 18:7 through 16.
Okay.
But in this, I think we can see a few different scenarios of how prophets were persecuted. But I also need to note that, well, one, every biblical prophet that we have was persecuted in some way, shape, or form.
Mm.
Um, Now, not all persecution is necessarily, you know, leads to death or to become a martyr. It doesn't have to go that far. It could go that far. Um, like especially if we start talking about the New Testament apostles, all but one of them were martyred
Mm.
for their faith. But it doesn't have to go that far.
Okay.
Um, Even like the one apostle who wasn't martyred would have been John,
Mm-hmm.
but he went through plenty of persecution.
Mhm.
So, but bring this back to the Old Testament, to the Old Testament prophets. Almost every Old Testament prophet was persecuted in some way, shape, or form. So again, I'm going to read 1 Kings 18, 7 through 16, and then we're going to kind of view a few things in this. So this reads, And as Obadiah was on the way, behold, Elijah met him. And Obadiah recognized him and fell on his face and said, Is it you, my lord Elijah? And he answered him, It is I. Go, tell your lord, behold, Elijah is here. And he said, How have I sinned that you would give your servant into the hand of Ahab to kill me? As the Lord your God lives, there is no nation or kingdom where my Lord has not sent to seek you. And when they would say, He is not here, he would take an oath of the kingdom or nation that they had not found you. And now you say, Go tell your Lord, behold, Elijah is here. And as soon as I have gone from you, the Spirit of the Lord will carry you I know not where. And so, when I come and tell Ahab, and he cannot find you, he will kill me, although I, your servant, have feared the Lord from my youth. Has it not been told, my lord, what I did when Jezebel killed the prophets of the Lord? How I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets by fifties in a cave, and fed them with bread and water? And now you say, Go tell your Lord, behold, Elijah is here, and he will kill me. And Elijah said, As the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, I will surely show myself to him today. So Obadiah went to meet Ahab, and told him, and Ahab went to meet Elijah. So this actually, we can pull a lot of stuff from this. But what we really want to look at, and one of the first things I want to talk about um, is Jezebel. Jezebel was killing God's prophets. We don't know how many. We don't know how many there were to begin with, but we know that Obadiah, this Obadiah mentioned here, he hid 100 of them. So there's 100 of God's prophets
Prophets.
that was hidden away from Jezebel to spare their lives. So how many were killed before they got hid away?
Yeah,
We don't know.
we don't
Bible
know.
doesn't tell us. But there is a good chance there was quite a few, probably hundreds that were killed.
My goodness.
But we don't know who they were.
Yeah.
We don't know how many there really were.
Mm-mm.
We don't know anything about them.
Mm-mm.
So there were a lot of prophets. Like even these 100 that were hidden away. We don't know who they were. We don't have a list of names and what they did. I mean, I'm sure there are some stories, but they're probably lost to history. So we don't know. But we do know there was a lot of prophets. But all these prophets were being persecuted. They were being hunted.
Mm.
There were a lot of them that were killed for the fact, just the simple fact that they were prophets of God. So there was a lot of persecution. So that's one of the reasons why I like this passage is because it highlights a large number of prophets
Prop-
being
mm.
persecuted at once.
Mm-hmm.
And just a little bit of a backstory for what I read. If we go back up to the beginning of this, it said that Obadiah was talking about how Ahab was going around and searching, basically hunting for Elijah. Well, the reason Ahab was doing this is because Elijah went to Ahab and told him that no rain will fall until I say so.
Mm.
And then basically the Lord sent Elijah into hiding. And that's where we see the story of Elijah being sent next to the brook, and ravens were bringing him bread and meat.
Mm.
And so he was being fed by the ravens and drinking from the brook until that ran dry. And then he went to stay with a widow and her son who had a little bit of flour and oil that never ran out. And so they fed him and took care of him. And well, so Elijah was kind of in hiding from Ahab. And all this time, Ahab was searching for him.
Mm.
We don't know what Ahab's actual intentions were with Elijah. But like we just said, Jezebel was persecuting and
Mhm.
killing all of God's prophets. So chances are it wasn't going to end well if Elijah was found.
Yeah.
And now we read Elisha basically comes out of hiding and finds a servant of Ahab, which is Obadiah,
Mhm.
and was like, "Hey, here I am.
Go tell them.
Go tell him I'm here."
They've
Which
been looking for him
actually,
for a long time.
and then the story after this, what happens next, is probably one of my favorite stories in the
Mm.
Bible.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Is that
that's
what?
one of the reasons why
I
I
was gonna say,
choose Elijah.
is that why you named Elijah?
Yeah,
Elijah?
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's a story where, so basically Elijah's by himself, prophet of God. There's 450 prophets of Baal, and he basically goes, "All right, we both have meat." They both set up a sacrifice
Oh yeah.
and like put wood around it, but don't light it. You try to call down fire from your God, and they spend like all day just dancing and cutting themselves and doing all kind of weird stuff, trying to get Baal to light their fire. And the day's almost over, and Elijah's like, "All right, guys, I gotta do this." And so then he prayed, and like within a few minutes, his is just on fire and consumed and gone, and just like,
So this just makes me laugh because if you know Mitchell's Elijah, he's very stubborn in his
yeah,
ways. And um I pray that the boy speaks words. And when Elijah's ready to speak words, he's going to say, "Okay, Lord, I'm ready." And just like the flames, he's just going to be spilling out sentences, and we're all going to be like, "Where did this come from?" Because he does not talk.
doesn't talk.
But one day, it's just going to happen,
Yeah,
like overflow.
yeah, it's very true.
It's very true.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh my,
I'm interested to see what happens.
I am ready to see what happens. And I told Paige that today when she dropped off my latte. I got Paige, I love you. Thank you. Anyhow,
I know she got you some.
oh yeah, she knows.
Did you give her a coupon?
No, I gave her money.
Should have given her a
I
coupon.
should have gave her a coupon. Anyhow, but we talked about it today, and it's his stubbornness. But you know, the story that you just tell, he's holding out,
Yeah.
watching everybody else do their thing. Go make fools out of yourselves. Everybody talking to him, saying, "Come on, say one word, say one word." And one day he's gonna be like, "Would you guys please just leave me alone? I know so many words and all my colors and all my numbers, and you guys will not just leave me alone." Right? That's exactly what
It's
he's gonna do.
possible. We'll see.
Oh my gosh. Okay, finish this up. Sorry.
Okay. So yeah, we're almost done.
Well, we are done. Yeah.
So why does Jesus mention the prophets at all at this point? I mean, he's talking about people who are going through their own persecutions and
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of Jesus, and the fact that they should rejoice and be glad and they'll get a great reward. But then it's like, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. So why is he bringing up the prophets?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the main reason that I see is the fact that Jesus is just highlighting the fact that almost everybody who has ever spoke out for Jesus, like at least boldly,
Mm-hmm.
has been persecuted in some way, shape, or form. And if you go through that persecution, if you are in a position where you are currently or in the future you will be persecuted or reviled or have false rumors spread about you
Mm-hmm.
because you are sharing Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
you should rejoice and be glad. Not only because of that great reward, but it's almost like a badge of honor
Mm-hmm.
because all the prophets who came before us went through this same thing
Mm-hmm.
or went through that same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we haven't been through that yet, and we are becoming more and more bold, like
Mm-hmm.
we kind of talked about. I started out just talking about Jesus and our family, and
Mm-hmm.
then ended up going to the podcast and Now it's a YouTube channel, and
Mhm.
what's next? Do I need to start standing on the street corner and
I just thought we were gonna start renting out like the Heritage Park, the amphitheater or something. You were just gonna give the message on the hill.
there we
Okay.
go. Could do that.
All the people will come.
I
Listen
don't
to
know if
your
I'm
message.
quite there yet.
Right, but that's boldly the next step that you could do.
Yeah,
So, but yeah,
but so yeah, that's a badge of honor
yeah,
to be persecuted for the sake of Jesus. To be persecuted for any other reason, just persecution.
gotcha. Okay, so you done?
Sure.
All right. Well, we thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Please leave a comment on this video or go to our contact page on purefaithliving.com to send us a message. And as always, if you like what you hear, then we ask that you show this share. That you share the show with others so we can all work together in spreading the good news of Jesus Christ. Don't forget to subscribe, and we will talk to you next time.
Have a blessed day, everybody.